Okay, before we continue lecture, let's make some announcement about the course. So next week on November 10th, this first week will be no lecture, but you do need to submit the online survey as a group about the second progress report. Okay, I already opened the assignment onto your call today, so you can have a look on that. There are 3 questions as a group need to answer that. And next week, about 17th of November, we have the third presentations about the global database. So the third, in the third presentation, to look at the data about the institutions and infrastructure factors. Okay, and on 21st of November, we have the in-class debate competition. So what is debate competitions on international business issues? If you look at the course syllabus, we supposed to have 2 questions to be debated upon. The first question is about pros and cons of globalization, and what do you think about the interplay between globalizations and businesses? That's a simple one. And a much more complicated one is about what do you think about the role of advanced technologies in multinational enterprises, in particular. Do you think we have exaggerated their roles in achieving multinational enterprises competitiveness? Okay, so of course you talk about what are if you've been allocated into this topic, you talk about what are advanced technology we talk about, and also what do you perceive the role of advanced technologies in multinational enterprises? If you support a view about the role of advanced technology, obviously you will focus on providing the evidence example about why you think advanced technology is the key to achieve competitiveness for multinational enterprises. But if you against the topic, essentially means that you need to give me the other examples, except for the advanced technology, what could be other sources of competitive advantage for multinational enterprises? Okay, I think I made it clear. But still, if you have a question, you can ask me by emails, or maybe you can leave the comments into your call. And you will be randomly assigned to this topic, okay, by me. So I will announce the list. Who's going to do the first topic, who's going to do the second topic, maybe next week. I still have time to do that. And for these activities, before you participate in the in-class debate competitions, you need to prepare for, or you need to submit the individual report on that. So once you've been assigned to a specific topic, you prepare for the pros and cons. Supporters or you are the opponents of the topic by a 1-page individual report. The main objective why you need to do the individual report, that is you think about the topic before you actually entering joining the debate competition, and you've got something to say once you've been chosen to be the speakers for your group. Okay, so that's the assignment. Any questions about this one? No? So I will announce further on the details about these activities. So next week, don't come to the class, and we don't have online sessions. Okay, so we suspend the lecture for 1 week. Okay, let's move back to the slides. Okay, so in the following, in this class, we're going to talk about, like I said earlier, about the cross-border collaboration between countries. Okay, so we're going to talk about the definitions of economic bloc first. So economic bloc, or regional economic integration, is basically formed up by a number of countries. They all agree to pursue the economic cooperation to reduce the tariff or other international trade investment barriers with respect to facilitating the flows of products, services, capital, or labors between each other. And very often, this type of cross-border collaboration among countries are restricted by the geographic areas. Example can be seen from 3 largest organizations, seen, for instance, European Union, ASEAN, and also NAFTA, right? So give you the example about ASEAN in particular. Okay. We talk a lot about emerging markets nowadays, right? So I just earlier about the 4 typical emerging market players, including Brazil, China, India, and Russia. But nowadays, when we talk about emerging market, we actually focus on ASEAN region. Okay, and so this is the video I'm going to show you is an introduction about ASEAN country by McKinsey reports. Okay, they actually have a specialized research group on ASEAN region, and I'm going to give you some statistics about and also the future prospects of the ASEAN.
Encompassing 10 member states, ASEAN is one of the most diverse, fast-moving and competitive regions in the world. These 7 insights show why. If ASEAN were a single country, it would be the 7th largest in the world. And it's on track to be the 4th largest economy by 2050. With a population greater than Europe, it has the 3rd largest labour force in the world. 67 million households are currently part of the consuming class. This could double to 125 million by 2025. And ASEAN member states are collectively home to the world's 2nd largest community of Facebook users. Intra-regional trade, as a share of the economy, is less than half that of NAFTA and the EU. This could deepen significantly with the ASEAN Economic Community. The AEC aims to boost regional trade and production, delivering freer movement of goods, services, skilled labour and capital. ASEAN includes 227 of the world's companies with more than $1 billion in revenues, or 3% of the world's total. Government debt is under 50% of GDP, far lower than the 90% share in the United Kingdom or 105% in the United States. ASEAN is the 4th largest exporting region in the world, trailing only the EU, the USA and China. ASEAN is a diverse group. The difference in average incomes over the member states is 7 times that of the EU. By sharing a common focus on jobs and prosperity, and by creating a seamless regional market and production base, ASEAN could prove to be the case in which the whole actually does exceed the sum of its parts.
So in the video you've seen that ASEAN, some facts about ASEAN, right? You know that ASEAN is comprised of 10 member countries, and if you perceive it as a single country, it would already be the 7th largest economy in the world, and it is projected to rank as the 4th by 2050. Okay? But you have to note that unlike European Union, they have advantages in terms of political, cultural, and even linguistic similarity. ASEAN is not a homogeneous market. Okay? So in fact involves quite diverse or large institutional, economic, and cultural differences among the member states. It means that if you are an IB manager investing in this ASEAN region in particular, you need to bear in mind that you can't rely on a one-size-fits-all, these kinds of strategies to invest across the wide varying markets. Because even though they're in the same region or in the same economic group, you need to bear in mind that there are large differences among these countries. And also, ASEAN is the 4th largest exporting region in the world, and its main trading partners you've seen from the video include European Union, United States, and also China or Hong Kong. But still, intra-regional trade dominates economic developments in these countries. For instance, roughly 25% of the region's exports of the product go to other ASEAN partners. And this trend has remained quite steady since 2003. So it means that there are more trade they do with each other than they do the trade with other partners outside the region. Okay. So that's an issue. If you are the outsider, you want to invest in these countries, on the one hand, you can take advantage of the removal of the tariff among these countries. But on the other hand, to think about that, whether or not I can actually make the profits when I'm investing in one particular country within the ASEAN region, because obviously they do more trade with each other than they do trade with the other outside the circle. And from the table over here, This is a table I kind of snapshot from the McKinsey report as well on ASEAN region. So you can see that ASEAN is home to many globally competitive companies. Many are in the banking, utility, and transportation industries. Okay. Singapore is a standout, ranked 5th in the world for the corporate headquarter density and the first to foreign subsidiaries. So it's really small. I don't know if you can see that. You see the top 3 companies. The top 1 company is Singapore Telecommunication, obviously, right? And the DBS, another Singaporean bank, and PTT is not a PTT we've been talking about in Taiwan. It's an energy company from Thailand. Okay, so you can see this large organization actually center on very specific industry because, like I just said earlier, for instance, the utility industry, telecommunication industry, automobile industry, they can fit in with their universal needs. So that's why they can quickly expand their businesses abroad. Okay. And there are different levels of regional economic integration theoretically. So this exhibit, actually extracted from the textbook, shows the 5 possible levels of regional economic integration. So we can pick up these levels as a spectrum with the economic interconnectedness progressing from a low level to a high level. First, the low level obviously will be the free trade. As they increase their cooperation and strengthen their relationship with each other, the ultimate level will be the political union. Okay. So the free trade union is the kind of simplest and most common arrangement in which the member countries agree to gradually eliminate the formal barriers to trade in products and services within the bloc. But still, the member state maintains an independent international trade policy with the countries outside the bloc. So example could be seeing NAFTA. NAFTA is a economic bloc comprised by 3 countries, right? Canada, Mexico, and the United States. And the second levels of economic integration is called custom union. Okay, it's quite similar to the free trade area, but except that the member countries harmonize their external trade policies and adopt the same tariff and non-tariff barriers on exports from non-member countries. Okay, so a typical example from South America called MESUR, which is a economic bloc in Latin America. Okay, this is kind of example. They not only have the eliminated trade with each other, but also they have the same trade policy towards other countries outside the bloc. Okay, and the third levels is common markets. Okay, so it means that member countries establish a common market in which the trade barriers are reduced or removed, similar to the previous 2 integration. And also they have the same policy towards the factor of production, such as capital, labor, and technology. They're allowed to move freely among the member countries. Okay? And the EU is a perfect example of the common market. But common markets are very hard to create it because they require a substantial cooperation on labor and economic policy. For instance, you want to remove your labor, it means that we in the region, we can, for instance, if you're in the European Union, I'm in the UK, I can really work in France, I can really work in other countries in the EU. You can do so in the European Union, but you can't do so in the custom union or free trade area. This is a kind of gradually integrate your economic policy towards each other. And the fourth one about economic union is the 4th stage. It means that member states enjoy all the advantage we just mentioned in the previous 3 stages, but it still strive to have a common fiscal and monetary policy. So EU now actually from a common market to the economic and monetary union because they have a single currency, euro, right now. So that's why they have the same monetary and physical policy. If you move towards the states like that, you're actually in the 4th stage. And the final one is called political union. It's kind of perfect unification of all policies by the common organization. So we not only harmonize the monetary and physical policy right now, but we also harmonize all of the other policies, for instance, political policies, or maybe your trade policies, so on and so forth. So it represents the ultimate degree of integration among countries. I think no countries nowadays have yet achieved because no one wants to lose their sovereignty towards each other. Okay, so that's why we don't have any example of political union right now. Okay, so you know about different types and levels of regional economic integration, but why do you think the nations are to pursue economic integration? Okay. Why? Because for the obvious reason, the first one is that if you join economic integration, you can expand your market size without boundaries, right? So, give an example, Belgium is one of the European Union countries. It's a really small country. It's just about the population about 10 million people. Okay, so the absence of the trade barriers with other countries in the EU means that instantly gives Belgium for us easier access to a total market of roughly 500 million euro customers. Okay, so when you enter in the EU, you are one of the member states. You not only serve the customers in your country, you actually can serve the customer widely in the same region. And the second one, I think, belong to enhance productivities and economies of scale. I think they also make sense that with more products you can sell to the customers, obviously you can increase your economies of scale and economies of scope. And then ultimate goal is to increase your productivity by decreasing costs. So that's one of the aspects why the company or why the nation would like to pursue economic integration, but because as a whole, they do some benefits to their local businesses. And the third one is that you can attract investment from outside the bloc. For instance, from an outsider perspective, now you are considering where to invest for your company. For instance, if you are a Taiwanese company, will you go to the European Union or will you go to a single country that doesn't join any economic bloc? I believe you will choose the former one because once you enter one country in the European Union, you've got instant access to 27 countries. Okay, so that's the attraction for the foreign investors. And the fourth one is to obviously acquire the stronger defensive and political posture. I think that was the key motive for formation of the European Union because obviously they want to compete with the states. So that's why they united with each other in order to, as an economic bloc, they have higher political posture, or maybe they have the much powerful economic status. They can compete with the state directly. That's the formation of the EU. Okay. I just briefly mentioned this before. You also know that different rationale of regional economic integration. Okay, and move on to the understand what factors will help this regional economic integration succeed. Okay, there are 4 factors I also captured from the text. The first one is that economic similarity. What does it mean? It means that the more similar the economics of the member states, such as the common living standards and common purchasing power of their customers, the more likely the economic bloc will succeed. Okay, so most EU countries are similar in this way. Okay, so this is sensible rationale because if there is a significant differences in terms of the wage rates, it means that the low-wage workers, they will migrate to higher wage countries within the economic bloc. But if you have really large wage differences like that, it will not fair, right? So usually, if you want to succeed to form an economic bloc, at least your economic developments will be much similar. Okay. And the second one is about the political similarity. Okay, similar in political system also enhances the prospect for successful economic bloc for sure. For instance, a successful regional economic integration requires countries to have similar political systems. They need to share their political aspirations and to be willing to surrender the national autonomy in some ways in order to form a common ground. And this is one of the key success factors of the European Union now. Although there are still some potential political disputes between the member states. For instance, the relationship between UK and Germany is a little bit intense. And so that's the reasons of why we have the Brexit. Okay, so now the UK leave the European Union and they don't need to fight with each other anymore. But again, one of the key success factors is that the more similar of your economic or political situation within the member states, the more likely the economic bloc will succeed. And the third one, I think also makes sense that you share a similar cultural backgrounds and you have speaking the very similar linguistic backgrounds, or maybe you have the same languages, that would be perfect for you to talk with each other. Think about a scenario of NAFTA. There are 3 countries in the NAFTA, right? America, Canada, and Mexico. I think it's much easier for Canadian to talk to the American compared with the when they talk to Mexican, right? Because they have the linguistic similarity. And the final one is about the geographic proximity. I think that's a kind of boundary condition for them. Because if you want to form an economic bloc. I think it's much easier if you are close to each other. Okay, you can muchly decrease your transportation costs, communication costs, so on and so forth. So most economic blocs now around the world are actually formed by the country within the same geographic regions. Okay? And close geographic proximity, they will actually facilitate transportation of product, labor, and other factors of production. Okay? That's another issue here. Given the prospects we talk about and what will be the success factor of economic bloc, obviously we need to talk about what will be the challenges, right? And there are a range of challenges, as you can see from the slide. And I meant to give you some time for your discussion, but I don't think we have much time on that because we have much to say. And I don't want to delay the lecture contents anymore. We really have much to say about in the following weeks. So just quickly go through about that. So you know about at this initial round, regional economic integration gives rise to both trade creation and trade diversion. What does it mean by trade creation? Trade creation means that trade is gradually generated among the countries inside the economy because you form not collaborate with each other, of course you increase your trade with each other. Okay? But as the barriers fall, each member country begin to trading more with the members than the non-members. So there will occur the trade diversion outside the trade. So kind of pros and cons. When you trade more with each other, it means that you trade less with the outsiders. Okay, so it can be how you adjust your strategy as a nation, as a government. Okay, and also there will be challenges about loss of national identities. Okay, so when nations join in the economic bloc, I think there's a pretty much a really focused drawback is that if you increase your collaboration with each other, it means that you need to lose your autonomy as a nation. For instance, maybe you have different political views towards each other, but you need to deep down on that in order to collaborate with each other more intensely. And another challenge is relating to sacrifice autonomy. I think I already mentioned that. And also the transfer of power to advantages. For what does it mean? It means that think about from the foreign perspective. Originally, you just need to compete with the domestic businesses.